Hey guys, Pito here. I'm coming at you with a new video. I see a lot of the same tech questions in Twitch chat, so I wanted to cover 10 of the most common questions I see in Twitch chat. So let's get right into the video with the first question. The gameplay you'll be seeing in the background is going to be me helping my buddies climb in Apex. So the first question I see a lot is, what graphics card or GPU should I buy? For this one, it's kind of complicated. It really depends on your application and your budget. If you plan on only gaming at, say, 1080p, 144 Hz or lower, you can go for the low end to the mid-range cards. Cards like the 2060 Super by NVIDIA are perfect for this, since they let you play budget games and even some of the more AAA titles at medium settings to high 144 Hz, and you can pick them up for around $300 at the time of recording this. Now, if you don't want to drop $300 on a card, say you only have like $500 for the budget of the system, and you don't want to drop over half of that on one part, then you're going to want to go for something a little bit lower end. Something like the 1660 Ti or Super. Those usually MSRP for the low 200s. Heck, you can get them on sale for even 200. And don't count out used parts. A used 1070 goes for anywhere from 200 to 180. Like these esports titles, it just destroys them. So those are the more cheaper. If you're wanting to go even cheaper than that and you just want to play a game, you want 30 FPS, you just don't want a console, you want that backwards compatibility, or you really only want to play stuff like Fortnite and CSGO, and you have like a budget of maybe under 200, you can go for something like the RX 580 or the RX 570 from AMD, or even the 1050 Ti from NVIDIA. I have one, I have it in my couch gaming build, and I love it. I'm getting low settings Assassin's Creed Odyssey at 40 FPS consistently. It honestly blew my mind how good this card was running. And it's a used one. I picked it up for $60. If you can pick up something like a 1050 Ti for 60 bucks, you're going to be playing Fortnite with your brother or your bros, no problem. Now, if you're on the upper end, you got a little bit of money you want to spend, you're like, I don't want to upgrade my system for like 6-7 years. So you're looking for a little bit higher end. There's two cards I can recommend more than anything else. The first one is the 2070 Super. The 2070 Super is an excellent mid-range system. You can get it for about $500 currently on EVGA on Wednesdays when they put them on sale. They're great cards. They come with tensor cores, so they're really good for streaming, and they will run 1440p 60 FPS no problem. They'll run 1080p 144 FPS at high settings, whatever you want. The 570 XT from AMD, however, is their version of, say, the 2070-ish card. I had this card for a while. It traded blows with the 2070 Super I have now, and I got it for $320 used. And they will run anything you want at the same. Basically, think of a 2070, and that's this card, and it's much cheaper. The only issue is it's not good for streaming. Not having tensor cores really messes up streaming. I was getting constant stuttering. I could not stream on that card, which is why I eventually sold it for my 2070 Super, along with the 570 not really working with Linux. But if you're just trying to play games, you're not trying to stream, you're trying to play 1440p at 60 FPS or super high-end 1080p and not having to upgrade for a while, I cannot recommend the 570 XT enough. If you want to go even higher, well, then why are you asking this? Get yourself a 2080 Ti if you're wanting to do 4K 60, 1440p 200 FPS. You can go balls to the wall. Just don't buy into a lot of that marketing crap. All right, we're on to the second question. What CPU should I buy? Much like with the GPU, it's mostly about what you are wanting to use it for. If you're looking for something to play games on, maybe do some homework, heck, even light video editing, you can get away with something on the budget end. In fact, I only recommend something on the budget end for this. I would say something on like a Ryzen 5 third or fourth gen, or even the up and coming Ryzen 3 3100 and 3300X. Those card chips are amazing, and they will not bottleneck your system. If you have a mid-range GPU like a 2060 or 2070, those chips will work great with them. It won't bottleneck. You'll be able to play all your games, no problem, and even get good rendering times. Now, getting something higher, like say an i7, an i9, a Ryzen 7, a Ryzen 9, they will not affect your gaming at all. There are very little games that affect performance and are CPU intensive. Stuff like Anno, or Civilization, or Total War, or really RTSs in general are what affect CPUs the most. Those are going to be your CPU intensive games. Most other games are GPU intensive, so you don't really need a super high-end CPU if you're just playing games. Now, if you're planning to make a career in streaming, or you're doing some pretty hardcore intensive video editing, that's where I start to recommend the higher end cards. Something like a Ryzen 7 or a Ryzen 9. I would only really recommend the Ryzen 9 if you're like already a hardcore streamer or a hardcore video editor and you're editing like 4K footage. Only then would I recommend the Ryzen 9s, but you can easily get away with a Ryzen 7 for these situations. Unfortunately, I cannot recommend Intel in its current position. They just announced and are about to release the 10 series chips, and they are not very good. They are slightly better than the 3rd gen Ryzen, and a couple months after the 10 series Intels come out, 4th gen Ryzen will blow it right out of the water. So if you want my honest recommendation, wait the month from the time this releases for the 3100 or the 3300X to come out and the motherboards. Get yourself that. The third question, this one's super simple. How much RAM do we need? Well, there's a nice middle ground right now. 16 gigs of 3200 megahertz or faster RAM and has a low latency like CL16 should be fine for almost all applications, especially gaming. You can get them cheap. You can get a set of Corsair for like 80 bucks. If you're running like a Ryzen 7 or a Ryzen 9, you might want to look into getting like 3600, but you're only going to get maybe 7 more frames between 3200 and 3600 frames. Only time I would recommend going to 32 gigs if you're doing heavy media production. Now, here's a question that I'm very passionate about. Should I avoid used parts? And the answer, absolutely not. Used parts are where you can build some of the best performing bang for your buck systems out there. You can easily pick up a used 1st gen Ryzen 5 and pair it with a used 1070 and be playing all your games at medium to high settings, 1080p, 144 frames with no issue, and it would cost you comparatively nothing. The other question that relates with this one is you shouldn't buy mining cards. I've heard that a lot. And in reality, that's not true at all. Buying mining cards, perfectly fine. As long as you're buying from reputable miners. Smart miners who were trying to actually make a profit off of this, they didn't max out their GPU at all times. They kept them in cool environments, kept them clean, kept them running well, and took care of them. Because in the end, those are what made their money. If they let their card die or kept them dirty, they're going to perform worse, which means they make less money and hits them directly in their wallet. The only thing about mining cards is sometimes miners will put different firmware, really, just to get a little bit of extra performance out of it. It's super simple to put the original one back on. You can download the firmware right off the manufacturer's website. There's YouTube tutorials for how to do this all over the place. It's not hard. You should be able to do it, no problem. But don't be afraid. If it is a mining card, don't be afraid. Hey, was this card used for mining? If they say yes, then ask them, hey, what conditions was it kept in? Can you send me some pictures? If it looks dirty, probably don't want to buy it because it means they probably didn't take care of it. But if it looks clean and they're like, yeah, I kept it at 80% utilization, in a cool environment, temperatures were like, it was maybe like 70 in the house. It was probably a little bit higher, probably be somewhere like 80 Fahrenheit in the house where there had these minings going, then yeah, go for it. They're not going to be crap. I don't care what our PC Master Race tells you. They will work fine. I have bought mining cards and they have been good experiences. On to the next question. Do I need multiple PCs to stream? And the answer is simply no. Now, I get why you would think that you do. Most big streamers and even a lot of smaller streamers use multiple PCs. But this isn't because they need it. It's a convenience thing. By having a second PC with a capture card, capturing your main gaming PC's video, you are removing the overhead of streaming from your system, which will increase performance and generally make your stream and your game look better. Yes, but you don't need to do that. If you are planning on just stream from one system, I would highly recommend getting something on the mid to high range equipment. That's something like a 2070 Super and say a Ryzen 7, because those systems will allow you to take care of the overhead that comes along with streaming and playing games on one system. The Tensor cores built right into the RTX series are just straight amazing. They will completely take away that overhead of streaming for you, or just about take over it. And if you have something like an 8700K, a 9700K, or a 3700X, or whatever Ryzen 7 gen or 9th gen is, you should be able to no problem stream and game on the same system. Now, here's a question I get here a lot, and it kind of relates to the last question, and that is, why do you stream at 900p? You see a lot of smaller Twitch streamers streaming at 900p, and that's because of the cap that Twitch puts on their affiliates for bitrate. If you don't know, bitrate is how fast you're uploading your data to their servers. Twitch caps their affiliates at 6,000 kilobytes per second, or kilobits, I guess, per second. And because of that, the maximum resolution that you can effectively get out of 6,000 is 900p. So you'll see a lot of affiliates streaming at 900p because there is no point at streaming at anything higher. Partners can stream at higher than that, so that's why you'll see them stream at 1080p or even 4K sometimes if they're crazy. But as an affiliate, you should not even try to stream at 1080p because there's no point. You're just wasting bandwidth. 900p is the max you can get. So now we're going to get into a little bit different. It's not exactly technical questions, but more of how you feel and your preference. So another question I see a lot is, what keyboard should I get? Mechanical versus membrane. And I'm going to be honest with you. People over at our PC Master Race are lying to you. You don't need a mechanical keyboard. Membranes work fine. Unless you're playing at a competitive level, you will gain no advantage to using a mechanical keyboard over a membrane keyboard. Now, that being said, if you are trying to be competitive, you're grinding for, top rank in CSGO or Apex Legends or something like that, or you just prefer mechanical keyboards because you do a lot of typing, then yeah, go for a mechanical keyboard. But the switches you get and the brands you get are almost entirely preference. That's why you'll see people using Razer, people using Corsair, people using other companies like Ducky, or even people who are building, $2,000 custom keyboards because it's a preference, not needed. So let's get into a question that I'm pretty passionate about. And I'm pretty passionate about it because I also fell for this marketing ploy, and it's called, does surround sound headphones make a difference? And the answer is absolutely and utterly not. And you can accomplish surround sound in two ways. One of them is marketing BS, and one of them is actually good. The first one is the marketing ones you'll see a lot. You'll see companies like Razer and Logitech talk about this, or Corsair, and they'll be like, oh, it's the only way to play. And that's using different drivers being the actual thing that produces the sound, and placing them in various locations, in each of those locations playing a surround. So you'll have a driver above your ear that's playing stuff from the top. You'll have a driver below that's playing stuff from below, one behind your ear, and that's playing from behind. And that does work in a room environment. If you're sitting in your couch and you have speakers placed all over your room and they're playing different directions, works great. Works great on paper in headphones too. Reality? It doesn't. The drivers are way too close to each other and way too small to produce quality audio. They're going to actually just start interacting with each other and causing distortion amongst each other, especially if you're a bass head and you crank up that bass. They're just going to distort the crap out of each other. It's going to sound like shit, and you're going to end up spending double the price of any other headphones because the technology is not cheap. They are crap. Stay away from them. The second way you accomplish surround sound, and this is something I highly recommend, is via software. And this is really interesting. Basically what happens is you take any old stereo headphones, go to the dollar store, buy a $2 pair of headphones. Literally, any stereo pair of headphones. And what happens is a software will use an algorithm and change the way that it plays that software or that sound back at you by, lowering the left side and the right side channel a little bit. And it makes it the illusion of surround sound. And it actually works quite well. It actually works way better than having headphones with the drivers placed all over the place, sometimes called true surround sound is what they call it. But the software works much better. And actually, it doesn't take much processing power at all. And because of this, most gaming engines, modern ones, have that software built right into it. So if you're looking for, headphones to give yourself a competitive advantage in a game, I'm sorry to say, buying those ones with multiple drivers ain't going to improve your game. They're actually going to make it worse, and you're going to spend double the money on just a quality stereo headphones. So here's one that's changed recently. And if you're an old head or you know an old head in the tech news, they're going to have an opinion on this, and it may be wrong. And does wireless peripherals make a difference? So you're starting to see a lot of stuff pop up with, say, the Razer Viper Ultimate or the Logitech G Pro Wireless. They are wireless. And up until fairly recently, wireless peripherals, such as keyboards and mice, have been pretty crap when it comes to gaming. They have input lag because the way that they interact with the system, and the technology wasn't very refined. Well, I'm proud to announce that, at least relatively recently, that technology has gotten a lot better. And in fact, is now very comparable to wired keyboards. Comparable to the point that now the pros are starting to use wireless peripherals. I can't say all wireless devices work great. A lot of them still, input lag, and they are mostly on the lower end. So if you have money to spare and you want wireless, I would just stick with some of the more big brands like Logitech, Razer, Corsair. So for this last question, it's not really a tech question, but I see it a whole lot in the streams I see, I'm viewing, and I'm moderating. And that's, should you use Kovacs or any kind of aim trainer? And this is a very opinionated question, so I cannot give you a yes or no. But what I can give you is my opinion on it. And I think Kovacs or any other aim trainer, even programs like Osu, are really good at warming up or staying warmed up. And I think that's where they should stay. If you wake up and you're getting ready to play games, hop on some Kovacs, hop on some Osu, play for about an hour, get warmed up, that's great. But if you drop 5 hours into an aim trainer, yeah, it will improve your aim. But you know what will improve your aim more? Actually playing the game you're training for. Because those games are a lot more than just aiming. But aiming isn't everything. So yeah, while you're in queue, while you're warming up, play Osu, play Kovacs, play whatever you want, and it will warm you up. But that's where I think it should stay. Remember, practical practice is better than simulation practice. All right, guys, that is it. Those are the 10 questions that I see a lot in Twitch chat asked. If you have any other questions or you think I got something wrong, drop it into the comments. If I get positive response, I'll make a second one of these. You can also check out my Twitch, twitch.tv/itsmepito. I love answering tech questions. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science. I've been doing IT work since I was 16. Drop in, ask a question. I'll get back to you. I have no problems with it. Even if it's about streaming, you're not stepping on anybody's toes. Appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and check out my Twitch. See you later. Oh, I tried. I hit the wrong button.